Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Uche, and on this channel, we talk Bitcoin in a short, simple, fun, and easy to digest way so that anyone can understand it, hopefully. I'm super excited about this topic, so let's get into it. So over the last two videos, we learned what money is and how money has evolved over time. We learned that societies went from bartering to using physical items as money, things like cows and beads, and at some point, countries started to use various metals as money. So they had things like gold and silver coins and other items made out of these precious metals. Out of these metals, gold was the hardest to mine. It was super expensive and it was a very dangerous process. But this was good for gold because this meant that gold was less prone to inflation than all the other metals. And also gold is corrosion free. So all the gold that has been mined since the beginning of time actually still exists till today. So both of these factors has allowed gold to maintain its value over centuries. And they led countries to start to peg their currencies to gold. So in 1944, after World War II, the US and 43 other countries held what was called the Bretton Woods Conference, where the US put the world on the gold standard. So since the US had the strongest economy and most importantly, the strongest military, all the other countries were bullied into all the other countries agreed to the US dollar would be backed by gold, and all the other countries would hold the US dollars in their reserves and their currencies would be backed by the US dollar. And in theory, they could redeem the US dollars that they were holding in their reserves for gold. The US told these countries,
"Oh, we'll never print more money than the amount of gold that we have. So technically, the US dollar that you're holding is as good as gold."
Stop the cap.
The US was definitely printing more money than the amount of gold that they had. And when these other countries started to catch on and lose faith in the US dollars, that's when my favorite president finally took us off the gold standard. This led to more inflation, eventually the 2008 crash, and the creation of Bitcoin. Throughout all of this, gold has and still technically is the most trusted asset in the entire world. It's now mainly used as a store of value. People now just invest in it as a way to hedge against inflation. But historically, gold has fulfilled the other functions of money, which if you remember from my second video, the other roles of money are medium of exchange and unit of account. So when I was first learning more about Bitcoin, there's this amazing article by someone named Vijay Boyapati, which I'm pretty sure I butchered that name. But in it, he basically lists the different factors that determine whether something is good or sound money or not. He says in order for any form of money to be considered good money, that money has to be durable, portable, fungible, verifiable, divisible, scarce, censorship resistant, and have established history. Based on these standards, gold is the best form of money. But I thought it would be a good idea to compare gold to Bitcoin and government money to see how Bitcoin compares. I think that this is one of the ways that people who don't really know much about Bitcoin can actually get to see and actually quantify why I and so many millions of other people believe that Bitcoin is a better money than even gold. Who has been the reigning champ, the GOAT, that girl?
I'm that girl.
Since the beginning of time. But don't take my word for it. Let's see if Bitcoin's even better than gold based on these standards. So the first factor that we're going to look at is durability. Durability basically means that the value of the good can't be easily destroyed and the good can't be perishable. For example, cows aren't a good form of money because cows can get sick and they can die. So they're not a good form of money. So first, gold. Gold is very durable. All the gold that's been mined since the beginning of time still exists till today. They're still highly valuable. But government money is not durable at all. Many different governments and countries have collapsed over time, and as their governments collapse, so does their money. So government dollars are not durable at all. Bitcoin has no backing country, and there's no government that is over it. So it can be considered durable since its faith isn't tied to any country or government. But because it's so new, we'll put it second place to gold. The second factor is portability, which means that the good has to be easy to store and transport. Also, it has to be stored in a way that prevents theft and loss. For example, a cow compared to a gold ring. A gold ring is more portable than a cow. So first, gold. Physical gold is not portable at all. It is expensive to transport and it's also very risky. Government bills is actually very portable because we have bills and we have coins, things that are small enough to fit into our wallets, and there's even digital money that allows us to carry debit cards and things like that as well. well, but it's very, very slow when it comes to transferring money internationally. Bitcoin, on the other hand, are held in private keys by individuals. We're gonna talk about this more later, but basically, Bitcoin is the most portable form of money that is available right now. Because it's ideally in a hardware wallet that is secured by a private key that only the owner knows, it's a lot harder to steal. It's still possible to steal it, depending on how the owner stores it, but it's a lot harder. And sending money internationally occurs instantly. I can send money to family in Nigeria in seconds if I want to using Bitcoin. Fungibility. Fungibility is basically the ability of a good or asset to be interchanged with other individual goods or assets of the same type. For example, if you have 4 quarters, you can exchange it for $1 in the US. So first, gold. You can always exchange 1 pound of gold for any other 1 pound of gold, no matter what shape it's in or anything like that. So gold is highly fungible. Government money is fungible, but only if the government or issuing body allows it. For example, in the US, you can exchange those 4 quarters for $1. But there are times when governments decide that they're going to remove certain denominations from circulation or from being worth anything. For example, the British shilling. You used to be able to exchange the British shilling for a pound, or even in Nigeria, the kobo. You used to be able to exchange the kobo for a naira, but these coins are no longer being used. They were removed from circulation. So government dollar is not very fungible at all. Bitcoin is fungible. So 100 million Satoshis would always be worth 1 Bitcoin. Satoshis will always be valuable and will always be a unit that is monetized in the program. But the way a Bitcoin is used is traceable. People can see what certain Bitcoins have been used. So certain people might decide not to accept certain Bitcoin that has been used to pay for things that they don't like or they don't agree with. So in this category, we'll give Bitcoin a 2 and we'll give gold first place. So next, a money has to be verifiable. It has to be easy to identify and verify whether it's authentic. If it's more verifiable, then people feel more comfortable using it as a form of money. To the untrained eye, gold can be counterfeited. Historically, people have used things like gold-plated tungsten to trick people into thinking that something is real gold. So if you don't know what real gold is supposed to look like, or if you don't know the properties of it, if you're not able to distinguish that, then you can be tricked into thinking what you're receiving is real gold when it's actually not. Government money, we already know, can be counterfeited all the time. They do have certain like security things in certain bills to make sure that it's not counterfeited or that people can easily tell, but it can be counterfeited. Bitcoin, however, is verified using math, so it can't be counterfeited. Divisibility. For a good to be considered good money, you have to be able to divide it into smaller parts, and then those smaller parts have to hold some kind of value. Gold is physically divisible, but it's extremely hard to divide gold, and it's expensive. Really, really tiny pieces of gold can't be used for small purchases, or it's very difficult to use them for small purchases. Government money tends to be highly divisible. For example, in the US where I'm at, $1 can be broken all the way down to 1 cent. But once you get to 1 cent, you don't really have a lot of purchasing power. Like 1 cent in the US I don't think there's anything 1 cent can buy you. Bitcoin, on the other hand, can be broken down to the 0.0000001 Satoshi. And that 1 Satoshi can be used for lower level purchases, especially as the value of Bitcoin goes up. Scarcity. A monetary good has to be hard to produce. It can't be easy or cheap to obtain it. Otherwise, it'll be prone to inflation and it'll lose its value over time. The scarcity is what really determines how valuable a money is and how valuable it'll be in the future. Gold is very scarce, but there have been periods of time when more gold has been mined. So in situations like that, the value of gold goes down. When it's harder for gold to be mined, then the value of gold goes up. But there is a scenario where, let's say for example, technology gets better to where people are able to find and extract the gold more easily, then the price of gold can go up. There's always a possibility of any natural resource being inflated. Government money, there's tons and tons of examples of governments hyperinflating their currency and just printing more out because it's not backed by anything. So government money is the worst when it comes to scarcity. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is extremely scarce. There can only ever be 21 million Bitcoin created. Ever. So it's extremely scarce and you always know what percentage of Bitcoin you're holding. There are no surprises. There can't be 22 million, there can be 21 million and one. For me, this is the most valuable category. Established history. This basically considers how long the good has been perceived as being valuable by society. The longer it's maintained its value, the more people will be willing to trust it and the more people will be willing to use it as a store of value and trust that the value won't be depleted overnight. Gold gold hands down is the best when it comes to established history. Like I've been saying, gold has been around since the beginning of time. Gold has never completely lost value. It's the most trusted asset to date and it's the one with the most established history. Government money also has established history of not being very great. Inflation has been something that has been characteristic of government money since its inception. Governments just cannot help but print more money. Government money is the worst in this category. We can't trust her. She can't sit with us. Bitcoin is a new technology, so it can't be number one. But in the future, I feel like Bitcoin will get to a place where it'll have a more established history than even gold. And I say this because there have been a lot of attacks on Bitcoin from the media, from different countries, but throughout everything that Bitcoin has been through, value of Bitcoin is still going up. So I do believe that the more Bitcoin grows, more people will come to trust it and finally have that established history. Finally, censorship resistant. This means that no external party, no government, no corporation, or anyone can tell you how you can use your money or that you can even use your money at all. Any form of money that gives people more control in how they want to use their own money that they worked hard to earn, for me, is the best form of money. So first, we look at gold. Typically, if someone doesn't know that you have the gold, then it can be censorship resistant. But historically, there have been times when governments have confiscated gold. For example, India, I believe it was like 1968, where it was basically illegal to own gold. And even in the US, legally, if the government sees fit, they can just start confiscating gold as needed. So gold is not completely censorship resistant. Government money, we already know that's not censorship resistant. Government can go to the bank and tell them to freeze your bank account. That's what happened recently in Nigeria during the End SARS movements. So if you haven't heard about the whole End SARS situation that was going on in Nigeria, don't even worry about it because I'm gonna make a whole separate video about that one situation alone because it's such a hot mess. But for this video, what you need to know is there are these protests that were going on to combat police brutality that was going on in Nigeria, and the Nigerian government decided that the best way to handle that situation was to freeze the bank accounts of the organizers. Because of that, the organizers weren't able to use their money at all. So they had to resort to using Bitcoin. So yes, government money, not censorship resistant at all. Bitcoin is decentralized. It is censorship resistant. This is one of the biggest things that makes Bitcoin so valuable to me. Obviously, I'm not planning on doing anything illegal to where the government should want to freeze my accounts or take my money or anything like that. But you just never know what things are maybe not illegal today, but maybe they'll be illegal tomorrow, all because some bureaucrats decide that it is. You want to make sure that your money cannot be taken from you by another human being with 2 hands and 2 feet and 1 brain just like you, all because that person's a government official. In America, this might not be a big deal for us right now, but in places where they have authoritarian governments and incompetent governments like Nigeria, this is a really, really big deal. Like Bitcoin right now is serving as a lifeline for a lot of these people, especially when you have the Naira that's going down in value so fast. I think last I heard the Naira conversion to dollar rate is like 600 Naira to $1. That is insane. When just a couple years ago, it was like 300 to $1. So in developing countries that do have authoritarian governments, Bitcoin is a huge deal. Anyway, that's something we'll talk about in future videos. So we are at the end. How did our different forms of money do? So as we see, gold has 15 points. Not bad, not bad. Government money is the worst at 22 points. And Bitcoin has 11 points. So according to this, Bitcoin is the best form of money that is available to date. And that is the video for today. Thank you so much again for watching, for clicking this video. I hope I've been able to adequately explain what Bitcoin is, why it's the best form of money. I'm really looking forward to the next few videos. Maybe I've confused you more than you were before you even clicked on my very first video. If you have any questions, just shoot me a DM. I'm on Instagram and Twitter mostly. You can also comment down below with any questions that you have. Do you agree that Bitcoin is the best form of money based on the factors that we looked at today? Let me know. If you don't, let me know that too. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys soon.